Good afternoon, G-Force. Tom Ginn here today. Today's format's going to be a whole lot different, but I am going to start out today with gratitude. G is for gratitude. I believe it's one of the most powerful words we can incorporate within our lives because it changes perspective, it overcomes obstacles, it gives us hope, it eliminates negativity. It's a powerful, powerful word. Today, we're not going to be going into any of the lessons. Today, I'm bringing on a special guest today, and I'll be announcing who that is here in a moment. But before I do, I want to announce who I'm bringing in on Friday's G-Force, and it's Mike Shorman. Mike Shorman has a tremendous story. Here he is right here. His story is inspiring. He had great goals and aspirations to be a paddleboard instructor and teaching people how to paddleboard. He traveled around the world teaching. He went to India, got infected with some illness, and he lost his legs. He became paralyzed, and he was deflated. So he's going to come in tomorrow, talk about his books that he's written, how he got through that, and how he's living a life of his dreams, even going through those challenges. So Mike Shorman, turn on your notifications for Friday's G-Force. Tag and share your friends, especially today as well. Share and tag. Because the information we'll be sharing here in a moment, I believe everybody should hear. And with that all said, I'm going to be bringing in my guest today, Alexandria. I'm going to got you muted. There we go, Alexandria Schweitzer. Did I say that?
Yeah, you said it right.
Yeah, I may be calling you Allie, but Allie, I would just thank you for being here today. I'd like to just share before you have you share your story and what you're looking to accomplish by running for the school board here in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. I have no longer have children in school, but I am a taxpayer, and I'm concerned as a taxpayer and what's I see happening in the schools. And so I went to an event here a week ago to meet Ollie because I like what she was sharing. I had an opportunity to meet one of her endorsers, Sheriff David Clark, who's endorsing her for this, and Ollie will share the mission that we're taking here as in our community to take back our kids' education, so they get the education they deserve, so they can survive and be more productive in life, versus some of the things that are going on in our schools today, not just here locally, but every place else. Just want to make sure that the local audience here tags and shares this out with their family, friends, and neighbors. There's a lot at stake here. And those that are outside the area, your communities are having the same issues that Ollie will be talking about. We encourage you to get out and support the local candidates in a conservative position. That's where we're coming from here, is that looking out for the kids and the taxpayers first, versus organizations that have their own interests and their own agenda. So with that all said, I'm turning this conversation. I'm going to introduce Ollie. You mind if I just go by Ollie? You want to be called Alexandria?
Allie's fine. I'm all Alexandria right, on the ballot. So.
All right, great. Ollie, thanks for coming on again. Just share your story, a little bit about how you got to where you are to run for, first time running for a public position. Just share with that your concerns and your why you're doing this.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me on. I'm flattered. I decided to run for school board. It probably started in the summer. I had a school teacher tell me that it's not that she didn't want to teach, she didn't want to die because I felt my children had a right to an education. And I knew in that moment that we needed to change that dysfunction because teachers were not, their lives were not at risk. Our doctors, our nurses, our first responders, their lives are at risk every day. But teachers, no. And our children do have a constitutional right to an education. And we live in a constitutional republic where we respect our Constitution. So for her to tell me something like that, I knew there was something wrong and I needed to be less of a big mouth and more the agent of change. So, because, I'm outspoken and I will engage in friendly, lively debate with anybody. I'm always positive. I don't go negative on people. And I try and explain to you why I feel the way that I feel. So, and then they put out a survey here in the Oconomowoc area school district, and the 86% of the parents said, open the schools. We want our schools open. We're willing to take the risk. If you're uncomfortable, wear a mask because they're telling us that masks will work. We want our kids in school. Their education is floundering, put them in school. And they closed the schools. The board looked at the survey and they said the parents don't matter. The taxpayers don't matter. And they closed the schools. And then I went back to work after 16 and a half years in late October on the President Trump's campaign. And then I was called to serve him after the election in his rights to a fair election. I worked with the lead councils on there. I was a research assistant, paralegal. I did that. And that happened and it was devastating. And I knew that if we don't start at the level of school board in our communities, not national platform, but in our communities, we would lose our country. So I looked at my husband and I said, I guess I'm going to be on the school board. And my husband was like, okay, let's do it. So we had to move one child out of district. We didn't move her into a different public school district. We put her in a school of faith because she was floundering and she needed to be in person in school. This putting a headset on just didn't work for her. We have another one in high school and we have, my son is in 4th grade and he's been in school full time this whole time, which we are grateful for. So that's how it happened. I am not old enough to remember Ronald Reagan's very famous speech when he first ran for president in 1966, when he said, education is the bulwark of freedom. Taken too far from the parent, it becomes the tool of tyranny. That's where we're at today. Our children are no longer receiving a science, technology, engineering, math education. They're receiving progressive ideology and social indoctrination, and it must stop.
Yeah. And like I say, I don't have children in school today, but I've seen the progression of the deterioration of what schools are really about, moving into ideologies and other different platforms that are outside, I believe, the teaching realm. I think some of the things that teachers should, parents should be teaching their children about their faith and their morality and all those type of things. But really, kids aren't getting educations. I remember the other night talking to one of the parents there, or actually a grandparent. I had 4 grandkids, and they're online learning 4 hours. 3 of it was curriculum. 1 hour was other agendas. That's terrible. Not the role of school.
No, it's not.
The role of school is to help children be able to have critical thinking and learn to read and write and apply that knowledge through education. And they're not getting educated today. Just look at what's happening here in Wisconsin.
Oh, they're not getting educated. As I've been out in the community and getting to know the voters and spending all of my time with the voters, people are like, well, why aren't you getting to know all the people that work in the schools? And I'm like, there's a transition period for that. And I'll be happy to do that then. I want to know what the taxpayers, what the parents want so that I can properly serve my community. I can't serve my community if I'm serving a union. And that's where we're at right now. Everybody is like, well, the unions say this and the unions say that. And all they want is to get every dime they can get. They don't care about our kids. I care about our kids. Every kid that crosses my path, I somehow fall in love with that kid and I love them like they're my own. My mom's like, you have the biggest heart. This is the perfect position for you because you care about the kids. You want them to have the best education that your money can buy. I live in the town of Oconomowoc. 77 cents of every taxpayer dollar that my husband and I spend goes towards education. And right now we have nothing that goes for it. In the Oconomowoc area school district, the average tax dollar is 56.3% goes towards the schools. We have nothing to show for it. We have kids. I went to an Oconomowoc high school forum. They asked 3 questions. One of them asked about racism in the school and, how as a board member, I would combat that. And I engaged with the students and we talked a little bit. I only had a minute to respond, so I didn't let him talk for too long. And some people thought that was rude, but I wasn't being rude. I was just trying to get my point across to him. I asked him if he agreed with me that there is hate in this world. And he said, absolutely, there's hate in this world. And I said, exactly. There's hate in this world, and there always will be hate in this world. It'll never go away. But to paint an entire demographic with such a broad stroke is to call them all white supremacists just because their skin color is white is dangerous and quite frankly, immoral. Well, none of those kids in that room, none of those high school kids understood what I said, and they all thought I was a racist. They were unable to understand that simple thought that hate exists, and it doesn't matter what color you are. What matters is that you have hate. And you don't want to be friends with a person because their skin color is different. It's not because you're white and that person happens to be Southeast Asian. It's because you have hate in your heart, because I don't care what color you are. You're a person. And the chances are I'm going to say, hey, why don't you come over for dinner sometime? Because that's the person that I am. Oh.
If we look at what's really happening, I think this statistic, and again, don't hold me to it to being exact, but 75% of the kids graduating high school cannot perform at the level they graduated. They can't read at that level. They can't do math at that level. 75%. And how many of them are illiterate? I mean, really can't read and write.
I had a mom call me a couple of days ago in tears, and she had messaged me a bunch of pictures of her 4th grade daughter's work. Now, I have a 4th grade son. So I could look at the work, and my 2 girls are older than that. So I could look at this child's work, and it's clear that this child can't read. And she asked me if I would call her. So I called her. We ended up on the phone for over an hour. She has been asking the school system, the Oconomowoc school system, since her daughter was in kindergarten for help. She recognizes that her daughter is dyslexic. I myself am dyslexic. I have a dyslexic child. They're not helping her. They're about to put her into the middle school, and this child can't read. They just keep passing her because there's no merit-based pay for the teachers. They know pass or fail, they're going to get their paycheck. So they don't have any incentive to work. We have some phenomenal teachers in Oconomowoc. And if we were able to reward the teachers the way that we should be able to reward them with really good pay, even better pay than what they have. Imagine how stellar all of our teachers would be, because there are some teachers that are there to just collect a paycheck. They're no better than the Saturday night babysitter that put the kids to bed early and played on her phone.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that because I'm not painting with that broad stroke I just referenced all of the teachers, because Oconomowoc has some phenomenal teachers.
Yes. And we make comments, and there are some phenomenal teachers out there that want to do right for the children, but they're handcuffed by an organization.
Yep.
Yeah, an organization. And if they move out of that, they're the ones that are at risk too. So they're caught in a rock and a hard place. I'm going to talk as a taxpayer here. Yeah. I have no problem paying taxes. It supports the elements of our government and, all those type of things, whether it be income or local taxes. But as a taxpayer, we're paying taxes for a product that should deliver, whether it be fire, police, infrastructure, doing the streets and all that. I want my dollars to work for the benefit of the community. Now, when I talk about children, I don't like to use the word a product, but what is the finished product that we take to society? As a taxpayer, and I think other taxpayers, we want the best product delivered through education so that these children can be productive, happy, supportive community members. And that's my position as a taxpayer. We're not getting what society or our tax dollars do to support an element of educated kids.
I completely agree. We've spent so much time telling students they have to go on to college. They must go on to college. There's no life for them if they don't go on to college. And I disagree with that. Not everybody's cut out for college. They just aren't. And we have a principal at the high school, Jason Curtis, who's amazing. He's a new principal. I believe his first year's principal was last year. So he had his first year of a high school principal, he had to deal with COVID. So if it was not his first year, it was his second year. He's very new principal. He's brought back a lot of the trades, so kids can learn how to work on cars and do all that stuff that is so important. And we need all of them because somebody fixes my car. So he has, oil stained hands, but he's a business owner and he's putting back out into society. He's just as good as somebody that went on and got himself 4 master's degrees in mathematics and is putting something into society. They're both working hard. They're both doing the best they can. And they are able to compete in a knowledge-based economy. And right now, today, we're not putting out kids that can do that. Right. And that's scary. That's really, really scary.
Yeah, it's not an isolated thing. If you looked at community to community, state to state, or whatever, we're with the same challenge. And like David Clark said, and I think you said it as well, is it here when you started out, is they have the liberties and freedoms that we have. It starts at the local level, not the Congress. And, our opponents in the political realm have understood that for a long time. So we got a long ways to go. And, to bring some balance and into this arena of education. And somebody's going to stand up for the kids and the taxpayers. So what else are the things that you want to share?
The teachers as well, though, because teachers are, and to a degree, the teachers are trapped right now. They have to acquiesce to the union. If they don't do what the union says and say things like, I can't teach because I'll die. If they don't acquiesce, then they have trouble. Like I said, we have phenomenal teachers. We need to let them teach and not worry about politics.
Oh. Yeah. I won't say much more than this. Look what's happened in San Diego. Let people see what the real story is behind the teacher organizations.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that fries me as a taxpayer, that they're going to educate kids one-on-one, but they won't educate American citizens.
Oh, I know. And your tax dollars, your federal tax dollars are going to that.
Yes.
So you have skin in that game.
Yes.
And it's disgusting. There have been confirmed cases of smallpox that have come across the border.
Oh, absolutely.
They're in our country now, and we don't have smallpox here. And I understand people are vaccinated against it, but the point of the matter is smallpox is actually a deadly disease.
Yes.
And it's now been brought in here. We're supposed to be talking about school. So
the role of teachers has become a political position, not a educational position. I think that's the bottom line. And I think these local elections, fellow taxpayers, fellow parents, you have a lot at stake by supporting local candidates, school boards. And I just encourage anybody that hears this and on the local level, get out and vote. It does matter.
Voices matter. Votes matter. Yeah,
it does.
I personally know some of the teachers in the Oconomowoc School District. And I was like, why can't you put that? Why can't you put that into the classroom? Why is it that you are working with somebody behind the scenes? Why can't you? And they're like, we're just not allowed to. So, yeah. And that's unfortunate. So while I am a voice for the parents and the taxpayer, if we are able to do it correctly, then the teachers will have it so much better.
Sure. I have colleagues that are teachers and that thing. They have a tremendous amount of pressure teaching kids.
Yeah, they do.
And that's all the pressure they should take on. They shouldn't take on all the other pressures, what I call the political purposing of education. Mm-hmm. Let them use their talent and resources to help these kids become functional citizens, basically.
Yeah. So that they can compete in a knowledge-based economy. I keep saying that over and over. It's so important.
Yeah. So in this election here in Oconomowoc, so you made a decision to run because you've seen it as a parent in the comments, that type of thing, and it got your hair to stand up, I guess the best way to say it, to run. Yeah. Got you to, and he says, I commend you to go into that arena because I know it's not comfortable. I know that the elements of the other side are pretty vicious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm a very positive person.
Yeah.
And they can be mean and they can say horrible things about me. And I end up actually kind of feeling sorry for them, because if the worst that they can do is pick on a chubby stay-at-home mom of 3 that wants to serve her community in this way, and if the worst they can do is attack me like that, there's something wrong with them. And I actually keep them in my prayers.
Yeah.
I've put out a platform. Everybody knows what I stand for. I want to serve the community. I want to serve the parents. I'm a parent. I want to serve the taxpayers. I'm a taxpayer. I want to serve the students. I have students. I want to serve the teachers. My students work with teachers. I'm only here for good.
And also, besides the election, what else would you recommend that parents in the community should be doing? Should they be attending school board meetings to hear what's really being done? Because we had one, you mentioned in the beginning, did a survey. They went behind closed doors, made a decision contrary to the parents. That would never have happened if they had 500 or 1,000 parents in that room, would they?
Yeah, absolutely. If we could encourage parent involvement, and I'll be the first to admit I wasn't that involved until the pandemic hit. I really wasn't. I was like, whatever, it's just school board. It's not just school board. It's not. It's such an important position. It's probably one of the most important positions in local government. So yeah, once I'm on the board, I plan on meeting with the communities, putting it out there saying, here's where I'm going to be. I'm having a community forum tonight, and these are the board members that are going to join me or not. Maybe they won't want to join me, but I want to hear what the community has to say, because, Sheriff Clark said the other day, I don't matter. You matter. I'm your vehicle to have your voice heard.
Absolutely.
It's not about me. It's about you. And as it stands right now, it's us versus them. And we've got to change the status quo. So I to properly represent the community, I need to have forums and be out there. I need to encourage people to come to the board meetings. I wish that we had more open time for parents and taxpayers to speak at the board meetings, and that so that we could interact. And since there's, time constraints and everything, that's why I would like to be out and about and tell people, you know what, I'm just going to go to Cornerstone for dinner tonight and my table's open. We asked for a table for 6 instead of 5. If you want to come sit down for a few minutes and watch my kids roll their eyes that mom's at it again. But that I feel that that's the way to do it, because it's not about me. It's about you.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that when I met last week at your event here in town and heard your why and that and what David Clark said, and supporting you and really getting clear on the message is, it's not, like you said, it's not about me. It's about the children and taxpayers,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's who we serve. We don't serve some other organization. We serve the community. And getting out to vote. You know, I'll share this with you, and I've taken my civil responsibilities of voting very seriously ever since I was able to start voting. I'm going to go back a few years, but I have only missed 2 elections
Mm-hmm.
in my entire adult life. Only 2.
That's impressive.
Yeah. I was in the military when I missed the 2, so I could have voted, but yeah, I was distracted with other things. So, but I just encourage people, you know, be conscious of what's going on in your community. Show up at a board meeting, hear what's the dialogue that's going on,
Mm-hmm.
hear it, so you can make a judgment or decision with both sides of a story. Most people are not listening to 2 sides, and they're just stay on one side, and that's not a good place for any community to be. That we should have open dialogue.
Well, I agree. You know, I say I am the conservative on the ballot. I did get some backing from the Republicans, and I appreciate it, but I am the conservative on the ballot. Yeah. I believe that the people are in charge. I believe in this constitutional republic that we live in, and we have given government too much power. And we have to start pulling it back, and it starts at the school board level, where the school board should have looked at the survey that went out and said 86% said open the doors. Everybody on this board has the majority of their voters have said open the doors. So even if politically I disagree with that decision, the parents have spoken. The doors are open. It's that simple. The people have spoken, and we need to listen to that. And we seem to have stopped at all levels. Yeah. But I wanted to end at the school level because our children are the ones that are suffering. And we're not going to be here forever. We have to put children into the world as adults. And I look forward to the day when I go out for lunch with my kids one day and they grab the check, because they have a good job and they can afford to buy their mom lunch. I don't want to have a 50-year-old child who I have to buy lunch for. I may want to buy lunch for my 50-year-old child, but I would also like to think that my 50-year-old child could afford to buy me lunch too.
Yeah. And they're equipped for life.
Yes.
The skills, the reading, the writing, critical thinking, being able to look at both sides, you know, and it's lost.
Yeah.
It's really lost.
It is, you know, whether or not they go on to college and become a lawyer, or they say, you know what, I'm going to go to a tech school and I'm going to do A, B, and C, and I'm going to go and open up my own auto body shop. Then do it. Then that's what you're meant to do, and do the best at it that you can do. And I want to give you the education that you can do it. I have always told my children, there's no job that's beneath you. None. So do it. You know, I tell them the only person that's stopping you is you. Yeah. So, and right now the school system, but we're going to fix that.
In closing here, 3 things why to get out and vote. Three things that is so important that you want to communicate here, that encourage people to get out and make that commitment to your civil to the community. I believe we have a responsibility to protect it. What would be the 3 things?
Well, for me, the 3 things are, there's a lot of people that are disenchanted right now because of what happened in November. And I think that, you know, I don't want to get into that, but I think a lot of people are like, you know what, my vote doesn't matter. I'm not going to vote anyway. But your vote does matter.
Yes.
And what happened in November, we can never let that happen again. So I think that's the most important thing, is that your voice matters. And our children's future is at stake right now. If we don't get the right people on the school board, we have to wait another year. And if we don't, and it's just too long, we've waited long enough. So, and then third, and, you know, equally as important, I almost said most importantly, but equally as important, it's your civic duty. In order to live in the land of the free and the home of the brave, we need to vote. We need to protect our civic duty and vote.
Yeah. We have a responsibility for what we have. We have a responsibility.
Yeah. We live in the most incredible country in the world. There's nothing greater on this planet than America. And we need to make sure we turn it over to our kids just as glorious as it is right now.
Okay. Well, thank you for your message.
Thank you.
And again,
appreciate it.
Anybody that's out here today in the Oconomowoc School District, make that commitment to get out and vote. Take that half hour, 45 minutes, hour, whatever it's going to take you to get from your home to the polling booth or at the end of the day. And I guarantee you, you'll be grateful that you did. You will feel better that you contributed, and your vote does matter. No matter what the outcome is. I always tell people, no matter what the outcome is, your vote matters. You had a voice on that day.
Yes.
And if you don't vote, you don't have any voice at all. You've given it up automatically. So I just encourage people, get out there and fight your cause with your vote. Fight your cause with your vote and support the school board. Show up. Let them know that you're concerned taxpayer, a concerned parent. Because if they don't hear from you, who knows what's going to take over, right?
Exactly.
Complacency doesn't lead to any place but a dead end.
Exactly. And remember what Ronald Reagan said. Education is the bulwark of freedom. Taken too far from the parent, it's the tool of tyranny. And right now, education's pretty far away from the parent.
Yes, it is.
None of us want to live under tyrannical rule.
Right.
No.
Well, Alexandra, I appreciate the opportunity to have you on.
Thank you.
And I know that this whole thing could shift with one vote, one extra vote.
I can't. I need one more. I need one more vote that'll put me into third place. There's other names on the ballot, like Tyler James, but he's endorsing me. He's pulled out. So I need one more than 3 people on the ballot, and I'm on the board. And you have a voice.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. I'll do my bit here and reach out to all my friends and family in this community to make sure that they hear this message. See who's representing them, who's representing their children in this community. And it's an honor to get to know you, and I'm here to support you anytime, any place. Okay.
Thank you. And they can go to my website, voteforalexandra.com. My email's there. They can email me and I'll get back to them.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to put you in the green room. Enjoy the M&Ms, okay? That's my G-Force little inside joke. So just hold on, and I'll find this out.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So that's a little deviation from G-Force. I'm so grateful that I can have a voice and help support somebody else's voice in our community, our country. I don't take it for granted. I'm grateful for all that I have because of this magnificent country. And I look back at my education, even though I had troubles in school, but I look back in my time and I'm so grateful that I had teachers that cared about teaching. And I have seen it change. And as a taxpayer, a grandparent, I want to make sure that we have a legacy of education for our society. So with that, I'm going to sign out. This is Get Out and Vote, April 6th, Alexandra Schweitzer. Vote conservative. Have a great day.